You must stay silent when I'm talking. She said it at Dave's birthday, between a plastic cup and a half-eaten sheet cake. Conversations died on both sides of the patio. I was telling a simple story about Dave's first day at the warehouse. Nothing sharp, and Claire cut across me with that line like she owned the room. I looked at Dave. He grimaced at his shoes. Alicia, his wife, froze with a lighter in her hand. Someone coughed. I kept my voice even. Don't talk to me like that again, Claire. You owe me an apology. Publicly would be appropriate. She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. A couple of people pretended to check their phones. Relax, she waved. You were dragging. I saved everyone time. If I'd seen where that would end up, I would have left right then. I'm telling you that up front. It wasn't the worst thing she did, just the first that made the room spin toward me. Alicia tried to restart the mood. Candles. Let's. I stepped back from the table. I'm done for tonight, I told Dave. Happy birthday, man. We bumped shoulders. He looked sorry for something he didn't do. On the way to the car, Claire tossed the gift bag into my hands like a teammate passing a ball she didn't want. Gravel crunched under her heels. You made it weird, she said as soon as the doors closed. I made it clear, I replied, buckling in. You can fix it with one sentence. What? You need me to pat your head in public. I need you to respect me in public. Different thing. She scoffed, turned up the climate control, and stared out the window. The ride home was quiet except for the turn signal and that little whistle our SUV makes at 60. At a red light, she tried again. You were dominating. People were bored. Dave asked me to tell it. Well, I didn't want to listen. Then step away. Don't step on me. God, you're sensitive. No, I answered, I'm precise. And from now on, until you apologize directly, we keep things short. No casual talk, no couple chatter. Logistics only. You're serious? As a heart attack. She smirked. We'll see how long you last. I lasted longer than she expected. I got home, walked past the living room where her throw pillows multiply overnight, and set 2 coffee mugs on the counter. One for me, none for her. She wasn't going to drink anything I poured that night anyway. She followed me into the kitchen. So you're what? Punishing me. Setting terms, I told her. You reset the public line. I reset the private one. You want normal, you fix your sentence. You can't just. I can. Watch me. I went to the guest room, pulled a fresh set of sheets from the hall closet, and made the bed without talk. She hovered in the doorway, arms folded, a queen guarding a hallway. You're sleeping in there? Until you apologize. Plain and clean. I'm sorry for disrespecting you in front of our friends. Those words. Then we're back on track. This is childish. It's adult, I said. Childish is telling your husband to shut up like you're scolding a teenager. She laughed once, not pleasantly. Fine. Be dramatic. Good night, Claire. I closed the door. The house stayed very still. That was the beginning. If you're waiting for me to crack, you'll be waiting with her. Next morning, she tried a different angle. I was by the sink tying my tie when she walked in. You look nice, she said, reaching for the cabinet. Big day. Vendor meeting at 10. Your car needs air in the back left. Light was on when we pulled in. Thanks for noticing. That's logistics. I added, meeting her eyes in the reflection. Still counts. She leaned on the frame. So you seriously won't talk to me? I'm talking. I'm not socializing. You're not fun when you get like this. I'm not here to entertain you. She exhaled loudly and left. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A calendar invite from Alicia, Sunday couples brunch. All the usual people. I declined and added a note visible to everyone. We're out this week. 2 minutes passed. Claire texted me from the other room. You really declined brunch to make a point? I typed back from the driveway. No. I declined because I won't sit through another public cut. Boundaries are not a point. They're a perimeter. Her dots appeared, vanished, appeared again. So you're going to punish our friends too? Set your own plans. You're free to go alone. She didn't reply. I moved one more block in my head. I stopped the auto transfers from our joint account to a few fun categories and moved my paycheck back to the individual account I had before we married. Mortgage? I covered it. Utilities? I covered what was in my name. Her extras? Her lane. I emailed her a list, short and clear, of who pays what for now. Not a speech, a ledger. By lunch, Tom from the shop leaned into my office. He's been with me 12 years, the only guy who calls a forklift a good mule. You okay, boss? You left Dave's early. Alicia thought you were sick. I was done, I said. How's the Henderson order? Packed and waiting. Want me to run it to the dock? Please. He hesitated. Not my business, but Claire was loud. Not your business, I agreed. You're not wrong. He nodded and disappeared. I went back to invoices. At 2, Claire's name popped up. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, a text. Lunch? No apology yet. She showed up anyway at 3, appearing in the doorway with a paper bag. Tom handed her a visitor badge without a word and left. She walked in like she owned the lease. Peace offering, she sang, setting the bag on my desk. Turkey on wheat. Pickle on the side. Thanks. I moved the bag to the corner. Where's the apology? She's Saturday. I'm sorry you felt embarrassed last night. That's not an apology, I replied. That's commentary. You want exact words? That's petty. I'm specific, I said. Say it the way it happened. I'm sorry if I made you feel disrespected. She dragged each word like furniture. You're close, I told her. Try losing the if and the made you feel. Why does it matter? Because it was disrespect, not a feeling. And it happened. We both heard it. She tilted her head. You should be grateful I'm here, trying. Most men beg for this. I'm not most men. Clearly. We sat with the hum of the old AC unit filling the gaps. I'm not eating until I hear it. I added. I'll wait. Her smile snapped off. You're ridiculous. Then we're done for now. She stood, grabbed the bag back, and crumpled the top. Fine. Starve. Tom will survive with me cranky, I said. Close the door on your way out. She left it open, naturally. Tom passed by and raised an eyebrow at the empty chair. I shrugged. At 5, a group text from Jenna, one of Claire's friends who collects other people's drama like souvenirs, landed on my screen. Game night at our place Saturday. Couples. Claire already said you're in. Claire replied immediately. Can't wait. I wrote back. We're out. Have a good night. Jenna. Ouch. Everything cool? Me. Everything's clear. Claire popped into my office again at 5:10 like I'd summoned her. You just embarrassed me in front of Jenna. You did that when you volunteered me. Why are you doing this? Because you showed me what we are in public. I'm just aligning the rest. You're impossible. Consistent, I said, packing my laptop. Big difference. I left her in my office. Tom caught up with me in the hallway. Need me to lock up? Please, I said. And take Friday off. You've earned it. He grinned. Boss generosity. Must be serious. It is, I replied, and headed to the parking lot. Friday afternoon, Manny from across the street fired up his grill. Manny's the kind of neighbor who fixes your mailbox before you notice it's leaning. People wandered into his yard carrying bowls and folding chairs. He waved me over as I got home. Come by later, man, he called. I'm doing ribs. I lifted a hand. We'll see. Claire met me at the door. We're going to Manny's, she announced. It'll look odd if we don't. Go ahead, I told her, hanging my keys. I'll stop by later. We're a unit. Units don't tell each other to shut up in public. She rolled her eyes and went upstairs. 20 minutes later, she reappeared overdressed for a backyard, carrying a tray of something that smelled like vinegar and sugar had argued and broken up. She stood by the doorway like a model waiting for applause. Well, looks sticky. She left without waiting for more. I showed up an hour later, after I cooled off and fixed the gate that's been sticking for months. Manny handed me a plate. Your wife's here, he whispered like it was classified. Doing her social float. I saw the shoes, I said. How are the twins? He lit up. Trying to eat my tools. We were mid-chat when Claire drifted over, bright smile, loud voice. There he is, she announced. Finally decided to join the grown-ups. Hey Claire, I said. Manny, these are good. She slid in closer. Next time, try not to vanish. People think we're fighting. We are not fighting, I replied. We're clarifying. Someone behind us muttered. Here we go. Manny gave me the smallest shake of his head, a warning. Claire took the plate from my hand like she always does when she wants the floor. Let me handle this, she told the circle. My husband gets sensitive when stories run long. She thought it was cute. It wasn't. The group looked down, anywhere but at me, the way people do when a storm walks through their picnic. I kept my voice steady, loud enough for those within earshot. Claire, last warning, don't frame me in front of others. If you do, I'm leaving, and you can find your own ride. Her eyes narrowed. Are you threatening me? No, I answered. That's a boundary. She laughed and tapped Manny's arm. Men and their boundaries. Adorable. Manny coughed and drifted toward the grill, which wasn't even on. Alicia, who had arrived with a bowl of coleslaw and permanent kindness, watched us. She knew the rule of witness. Don't meddle, but do remember. I set the plate down on the tailgate of Manny's truck. Enjoy the ribs, I told the air. Then I walked out through the side gate and didn't look back. My phone buzzed when I reached the sidewalk. Claire, seriously? You're walking? Me? You have your car. Claire, pathetic. I didn't answer. Instead, I drove to a copy shop that stays open late. No drama. Just paper. I already knew the forms by heart. You check boxes, you fill blanks, you promise you tried, and you sign. I made 3 neat stacks. I bought a big envelope and a roll of stamps and a small, cheap pen. I drove home, put the envelope on my desk, and slept in the guest room like a man staying at a clean motel with decent pillows. Saturday morning, Claire hovered by the coffee machine as if regaining ground through proximity. You left me there, she opened. You had your car, I answered, taking a mug down. You're making everyone pick sides. I'm giving everyone an honest view. Do you want me to beg? She asked, sounding offended at the idea. I want you to take responsibility, I replied. There's a difference. What would make you happy? Try. I'm sorry for telling you to shut up. It was wrong. 16 words. Less than a tweet. She snorted. Tweets are for people who need attention. That's why the words would be hard for you, I said, and took my coffee to the porch. 2 hours later, she attempted the soft pivot. She came out with a plate of pancakes, extra blueberries, the way I like them. She set the plate down, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear for effect, and waited. I cut a triangle and chewed. Well, she prompted. They're good. And I'm not trading an apology for syrup. She picked up the plate, carried it back in, and let the screen door slap a little. The house went into a cold war. I used the time. I packed 2 banker's boxes with things I didn't want confused later. My dad's old tools, the photo from my first fishing trip with Dave, a watch from my grandfather. I labeled the boxes by room and put them on the top shelf in the garage, out of reach, out of accident. Sunday brought the heavier play. She floated through the living room, being kind out loud. I steamed your shirts, she announced. Thank you. I lined up your dry cleaning. Good. I also RSVP'd us to Alicia's charity thing next month. We won't be attending. You don't tell me where I can go. You can go anywhere, I replied. I'm not going with you. She stared like I had broken a law she wrote. People will ask why. Tell them the truth. You told me to shut up in front of our friends, and you're allergic to apologies. You love making me the bad guy. I don't have to make anything. You're doing fine. She left and returned with a new tactic, silence. Not the calm kind. Heavy, pointed, door-closing silence. It didn't bother me. I like quiet. She, it turns out, does not. On Tuesday, Tom and I rolled a pallet into the loading bay. He glanced at my phone on the crate, blinking with repeated texts. Want me to toss that in the truck bed? He joked. Tempting, I said, grabbing a strap. Boss, he added carefully. There's a way this ends where you don't like yourself much. This ends, I told him. That's the way I'm choosing. He nodded. We got the pallet in place and signed off on the delivery. Wednesday night, Manny knocked on my door. He stood on the porch with a folded note. Claire asked me to hand you this, he said. She's in her car. I unfolded it. The handwriting was big and neat. I'm sorry if what I said hurt you. I was stressed. I didn't mean it to come out that way. Can we reset? That's not it, Manny said, reading my face. It's not, I agreed. Tell her thanks for trying. You sure, man? I am. He nodded like men nod when they've seen both sides and know what's left is choice. He walked back to Claire's car. They talked for a minute. She looked past him at me with a practiced hurt. I lifted a hand in a civil wave. She pulled away with more throttle than necessary. Manny shoved his hands in his pockets. Want a beer? He asked. I'm good. Thanks, I said. I'm mailing something. He looked at the envelope in my hand, then at me. Okay. I drove to the box by the grocery store and let the envelope slide in. Metal on metal. That's the sound of a decision. 2 days later, she turned the volume to 11. She showed up at my shop on Friday with a smile cranked too high and a bright dress meant to signal a reset. Big surprise, she announced, stepping into the office with a bag from a deli we both like. I'm taking you to lunch. I checked my watch. I have a call in 10. Cancel it. I won't. She set the bag down anyway and moved behind my chair, hands on my shoulders like we were a photo of teamwork. Come on. You work too hard. Let me spoil you. I lifted her hands gently and placed them back at her sides. We're not doing that. She leaned against the desk. You want words? Fine. I'm sorry. Now can we drop it? That's not an apology, I replied. That's a transaction. Her eyes flashed. You are impossible to please. I'm easy to respect. You're going to throw everything away over one sentence. You're the one refusing to say it. What do you even want, Mark? She asked, using my name like an accusation. A partner, I said, not a critic with a house key. She laughed, tiny and sharp. Wow. So I'm a critic. You're performing for an audience I didn't agree to pay for. She straightened, serious now. Say you'll go to Jenna's next game night. She thinks it's about her. It's not about her, I answered. And no. She moved closer again, softer. Look at me. I did. I love you, okay? You're making a point. I get it. Let me fix it my way. Your way is pretending it never happened, I said. My way is naming it and moving on. She stared for a long beat. I'll see you at home, she said, gathering the bag. Don't be late. I won't, I told her. I meant I wouldn't see her. On the drive home, a notification popped up from the postal service, letter delivered. I parked in the driveway, turned the ignition off, and sat with my hands on the wheel for a minute. Inside, the house smelled like lemon cleaner. Claire had done the full court press. Fresh flowers, the dining table set. A playlist humming low. She met me at the door, all glow and hospitality. Surprise dinner, she announced. Your favorites. I'm not hungry, I said, moving past the table. She stepped in front of me. What does it take? I'm here, I'm trying. Your rule was no talk without an apology. I'm talking. I apologized. Words matter, I replied. So does timing. What timing? You'll know soon. Her expression flickered. What did you do? Logistics, I said, and went to the guest room. I slept well. Monday afternoon, Claire's car tore into the driveway. She didn't text. She didn't knock. She came in with a white envelope in her hand and tears she was trying to control and failing. You filed, she said, voice breaking on the last letter. You filed. I looked up from the kitchen table where I was scrolling through a supplier list. Mail came, huh? You filed for a divorce, she repeated, like if she said it enough it would become a question. I did. You couldn't even talk to me first, she demanded. You couldn't say, hey, I'm thinking about this. We've been talking, I replied. You just haven't been listening. She dropped the envelope on the table. We could have fixed this without it. We could have gone to a counselor. We could have taken a break. We could have. She tripped over the list, searching for the magic item that makes a man fold. You had a single sentence to say, I said, and you chose everything else. I love you, she said suddenly, as if the words were an extinguisher. I don't want to lose you. We can save this. Please. I leaned back in the chair and let a laugh slip out. Not loud, just the kind that comes when a puzzle piece finally clicks. You love me, I echoed. Interesting timing. She flinched. How can you laugh? Because this is the first time all month you've spoken directly, I said. Clarity's refreshing. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Why blindsiding me with the mail? I didn't blindside you, I replied. I told you on the patio I expected an apology. I told you in the car. At home. In texts. In front of Manny's grill. In your note you still dodged it. And you wanted a stage more than a solution. We could still. No, I cut in. The line broke with that sentence at Dave's. The rest of the month just drew it in ink. You're overreacting, she tried. This is marriage. People fight. People fight, I agreed. Adults repair. You perform. This house, she said, looking around, panic bleeding into her face. The accounts, what happens now? House is mine, I said. Calm, factual. Pre-marriage asset, prenup in the file. You know that. Your car's in your name. I'll have my attorney. I stopped and corrected myself, remembering my own rule about not parading process. You'll receive instructions about the rest. So I get what exactly? She whispered. Silence, I answered. It's what you wanted from me. Now you can have it from me, the house, the schedule, the money, the weekends. It's consistent. She shook her head. No, I'm not leaving. Yes, I said, standing up. You are. You can't make me. I don't have to make you. I'm telling you my boundary. You don't live here anymore. You're cruel, she spat. No. I'm done, I said. Her last play was tears turned up like a faucet. Mark, please. I love you. We can fix this. I'll say it, okay? I'm sorry I told you to. I held up a hand. Too late. You said that's what you wanted. I wanted respect in the moment, I replied. Not a bargain when you feel the floor move. She grabbed her keys off the counter, dropped them, grabbed them again. Say something else. Give me something to work with. I looked at her, at the woman who liked me best when I was useful and silent. I put my hand on the edge of the door. Keys. Car. Out. She stared like she didn't recognize the language. Then she flushed, shoved the envelope into her bag hard enough to bend the flap, and stormed to the driveway. The engine revved. She reversed too fast, braked too late, then took off down the street like a bad decision. I closed the door with 2 fingers. Quiet. The kind she claimed she wanted and never made room for. There's a temptation to make the aftermath sound heroic. It wasn't. It was paperwork, logistics, and a string of small, steady choices. The prenup did its job. The house, the shop stake, my savings, untouched, like a fire that never reached the 3rd floor because the wall held. She took her car, her clothes, the things she bought. I boxed what she forgot and had Manny handed over in 2 trips. No screaming, no speeches on the lawn, no theatrics. She texted twice in the first week, both times at night. Both times that kind of longing that really means undo the clock for me, please. I didn't reply. She called Alicia. Alicia swung by with a casserole and a face that knows more than it says. You want me to be the message carrier? She asked on my porch. You can be the witness, I told her. Tell Claire I wish her well. That's all. She says she loves you. She loves a version of me that agrees with her. I said. That version moved out. Alicia stared at her shoes, then back up at me. She also says she didn't mean it. She meant to keep the floor, I replied. She lost it. You're sure? I sleep fine, I said, and I wasn't lying. Tom took me to a minor league game the next week because he doesn't know how to say, I'm proud of you, without food and noise. He sat beside me, chewing peanuts like he was solving something. You look 10 pounds lighter, he observed. Left them on Manny's lawn, I said. He chuckled. You're a stubborn man. Stubborn kept me from making a concession speech at my own kitchen table. I answered. A month later, I sold the 2nd car we weren't using. I updated beneficiaries. I replaced the living room rug Claire had insisted on with something I actually liked. Dark, simple, easy to clean. I put my wedding band in a small box next to my dad's service pin. Symbols, in the right quantity, are useful. They remind you of decisions you've already made so you don't relitigate them on a bad day. It took time for the house to sound like my house. Music helped. So did people who speak plainly. Manny and I rebuilt the gate properly over a weekend. Dave came by and stood on the porch with his hands in his pockets. She called Alicia, he said. Says you blindsided her. I put a month's worth of warning labels on it, I replied. He nodded slowly. I know. Happy birthday, by the way, I added, because the cake night got stolen from him. I owe you a better one. You owe me nothing, he said, then paused. You know, when she said that to you, the shut up line, I felt embarrassed for me. Like I invited a show into my house. You invited people, I said. The show came with one of them. He shrugged. Anyway, Alicia says hi. Lauren says hi too. Who's Lauren? Her friend from the shelter drive, he said. You met maybe? Brown hair, quick laugh, drives a beat-up hatchback like it's a trophy. I didn't. Come by next week. She'll be there. I did. Lauren asked me how I take my coffee and actually listened to the answer. She told a story about a dog that adopted her instead of the other way around. When someone tried to talk over her, she didn't raise her volume. She paused, waited, and finished her sentence. Respect without announcement. It's not flashy. It's the only thing that sticks. We took it slow. I wasn't auditioning. Neither was she. We met for breakfast on Saturdays and walked by the river on Wednesdays. She asked questions and considered the answers. She didn't require an audience. She didn't need me to play a role. She liked me, not my capacity to be useful scenery. 3 months after the envelope, Claire texted again. Alicia had caved and given her my new number against my request. She apologized for that later. Claire's message was a paragraph I didn't finish. It started with I've been thinking and shifted quickly into we could still, and if you just. I deleted it without responding. Not out of spite. Out of pattern recognition. I'd already written the end. Alicia mentioned, offhand at a barbecue, that Claire had moved into a small apartment near her sister and was getting used to the quiet. I nodded and didn't ask for details. She'd wanted silence as a tool. When it came as a consequence, it wasn't fun anymore. Funny how that works. I kept the house. I fixed what needed fixing. I stopped hosting people who treat other people like furniture in a room. The shop had its best quarter in 2 years because I had energy that wasn't spent managing moods. Tom finally took that fishing trip with his son. Manny invited me to watch a game, and I said yes, without checking who else would be there. Lauren came by one evening with a bag of takeout and a question. "You good if I leave this here and we eat on the porch?" she asked. "It's too nice to sit inside." "Perfect," I answered, grabbing plates. We ate without narrating our eating. We talked about a leak under Manny's sink and whether to replace or repair. When she told a story, I listened because I wanted to hear it, not because I was waiting for my turn. When I told one, she didn't scold me for length or topic. She asked, "And then what?" like she was invested. After the sun slipped behind the neighbor's maple, she leaned back and looked at my house like it belonged to someone who chooses it. "You look lighter," she said. "I am," I replied. I enforced a standard and the world didn't end. Is that what happened? That's exactly what happened. Claire got what she demanded, quiet when she speaks. She speaks to walls now. I got what I demanded, respect or distance. I'll take either. In my case, I got distance from a person who used the room like a stage and closeness with one who uses it like a place to sit and breathe. There's no plot twist here. It's not romantic. It's clean. She lost the comfort, the access, the status of being able to stun on me in front of a crowd and expect me to smile through it. I lost the noise. If I'm being honest, there's one indulgence I allowed myself. A final line at the door. It wasn't rehearsed. It just fit in my mouth like it belonged there. Keys. Car. Out. That was it. Not a speech, not a threat, not a lecture. A rule. She left. I closed the door. The lock clicked like a period at the end of a sentence that ran on too long. Now, mornings are straightforward. Coffee. Calendar. Work. On Tuesdays I let Tom pick the radio, and he always picks something old and cheerful. On Thursdays I help Manny with whatever project he invents to keep his hands busy. On Saturdays Lauren and I drive out to a farmer's market and buy more tomatoes than 2 people need. On Sundays I don't go to brunch to perform a version of us that doesn't exist. If you want a moral, it's not complicated. I didn't raise my voice. I raised my standard. I didn't threaten. I changed access. I didn't chase a person who treated me like